to tonight's full council meeting, Henley Town Council, on Tuesday, the 6th of October, 2020. The first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. I have Dave Eggleton. Is there anybody else?
No, I don't have any other apologies. Councillor Hillier is just joining the meeting now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Item 2, declaration of interest. Does any council have any interest other than already mentioned in the minutes? No, I don't see any. Okay, let's move on to item 3, public participation. There will be a 20-minute time for questions from the public. You have 2 to 3 minutes to either ask a question or give a statement. If you could give your name and address, that would be handy. The first question, I think, I have to go for residents of Henley first, so that would be Jonathan Barter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
We can, Jonathan, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As you know, I've been a member of the council before, and I'm concerned about the actions of a particular councillor, because it was always my understanding when I was a councillor that an individual councillor or a group of councillors cannot represent the council outside unless they're so appointed by the council. And it's come to my attention that the Deputy Mayor has been circulating certain businesses in the town as a representative of the whole council on the matter of the COVID regulations. I was in the Bell Public House on the 2nd of October at 9:45, and he came in a high visibility jacket with a body camera. He didn't sit down or buy a drink. He was clearly there for another reason. And the landlady was under the impression that he represented the council. I've also heard that he has done the same at Hoff's on the same evening. And I've heard from the Copper Club, from a friend of mine, that a gentleman entered the premises purporting to represent the council. I don't know if that was the Deputy Mayor in that particular instance. It seems to me, from what I saw, that he's appointed himself as a COVID marshal and is circulating the town, purporting to represent the whole council. I want to know if you've given that authority to him, and if you've not given that authority to him, will the town clerk write to those premises and inform them that he does not represent the council? Further to that, I would remark that I think his rather bogus attire brings the whole council into disrepute, which again is against the code of conduct for the council.
Jonathan, I'm unaware of that. But he's acting as a representative of the. No, leave it, Donna. I'll answer this. Thank you. And then the town clerk. I'm unaware of him going around representing the council. That's the first I've heard of that. And I really can't say any more unless the town clerk knows any more than I do.
Thank you. I can't say that I have heard of this before. You are completely right that he does not represent the council. In fact, no authority can be delegated to an individual councillor. So at no time can he represent the council. Of course, I'm sure councillors would join me in agreeing that it is very good that we have active councillors who take an active role in the community, especially in these times. But of course, they shouldn't be trying to represent the council. And I don't know if that is certainly the case in these instances. It probably needs a further investigation with the establishments that you've said. But of course, I'd be willing to do that if councillors are in agreement.
Jonathan, could you email the town clerk and give him the exact words that you heard? You know, I don't really want anything secondhand that, you know, someone says something to you and then it may have got changed between the person you refer to and yourself. But if you could just put any specific wording to the town clerk, and then I will ask him to raise it with the individual, and we will get back to you.
Thank you very much. I find that most satisfactory, and I do want to be absolutely clear on this.
Yeah.
My personal witness of him being in the Bell Public House was that because of the amount of publicity he gets in the newspaper, he's instantly recognisable as a councillor, and then it can be assumed by people who've just come to the town that he represents the council, which he does not.
Let's just draw stop to this now. But if you can just give the exact wording to the town clerk, and then we will take it up with the individual councillor, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. As the town clerk quite rightly says, and even I cannot go out representing the council. I can go out and give my view as a council, maybe the mayor, but I do not go out representing the council unless I've been given specific instructions to do that. So anyway, thank you for your question.
Thank you very much,
Jonathan. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question is from Barry Wood, ex-councillor, ex-mayor of Henley. Barry?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, councillors. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, you're fine.
Fine. I'm recently involved with the new Persian restaurant that's come into 23 Marketplace and hopefully will open in October of this year. What in opening this, and they've had a formidable number of problems, including one of the partners actually dying in this last month. It's opened a couple of problems. One is on waste removal. Now, this particular establishment has no rear exit, so there's no storage zone outside. And obviously they don't want to be storing wet waste or dry goods or anything inside the restaurant. If they try to put stuff in the marketplace, then obviously that's a complete no-no. And there's no consolidation zone in the town as far as I can see. So they've got a real problem. Now, in sort of looking at this from through the eyes of other restaurants, I've actually found that one restaurant, which shall be nameless, the owner is bagging the waste, taking it home and putting it in a skip outside his house in a residential area. Now that could make you blink, as it obviously did, Mr. Mayor, there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I'm cutting to the chase here, I do think it needs perhaps the town manager to survey all the restaurants in Henley and report on what they do for waste disposal, because what I can see is, all I can see is that each restaurant is a law unto itself, is responsible to itself, and there's no town system as such. So I'm meeting with Biffa tomorrow to try and reconcile this for the particular location, as well as I hope to feed back to you as to what they might do on a town basis. But of course, following on from just previously, I shall not be representing the town in any way, shape or fashion. The other aspect that this has produced is the lack of welcome for new business to Henley. And I am staggered by this, because I know in 2005-06, and in your town, Mr. Mayor, many years ago, we did have a welcome pack. We had people would visit, and they would be generally welcomed into the family of restaurants or shops or whatever. And, this has actually gone wrong. And it needs, I think, Henley Town Council to either push SODC, the business development section of SODC, to say, come on, we need to do something in these towns. New business is precious. I don't have to, lecture you on that. But generally, it is very, very inferior what has happened to these guys. No welcome, nobody knocking on the door. Generally, a most, unsatisfactory situation. So there's two aspects there. One is this waste removal, and asking that the town manager, could there be enough time to go and find out what other restaurants are doing, and is there a town system? And surely we could probably get a town system going for restaurants, because they've got a particular aspect, which is wet waste, food waste. And that in COVID times, as we well know, is we really do need to look at it. Thank you.
Let me just ask you a question, and it's a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to the town centre manager about this?
Not about this, no.
Okay, that's fine.
I've spoken to SODC.
That's fine. That's fine. That was a simple answer. Well, let me just correct you. And you did send me an email today.
I did.
And my answer was, I just about totally disagree with what you're saying. The first item is the town centre manager. I can tell you, she goes to every new business that's going to open in this town. I know it because I go in there as well.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where you've got that information for. That is totally incorrect, Barry.
Well, from these partners.
Let me finish, please. I listen to you. So that is totally incorrect. The town centre manager does go to every new business, because every time I go there to a new business, they all mention Helen's been here. So that is incorrect. Be it what she says or what she does, that's totally different. Can I just ask Councillor Gavashak to answer the one on the waste? He spent a lot of time on this last year, the year before. I've also spent some on general waste in different areas, but Councillor Gavashak has spent a long time in this, especially with Biffa and Grundon. So can I pass over to you, Councillor Gavashak?
Certainly, and good evening, Barry.
Hi.
Thank you for your question. You're absolutely right that waste occurs and rears its ugly head on a regular basis, and we try and actually do as much as we possibly can. The system that I put in place, and it is that Grundon are the operator that actually have put on free of charge an extra collection in the morning. So what happens is restaurant, pub and wet waste is collected in the evening, is put out in the evening and put out late at night, let's say 10 o'clock at night, and then collected at 4 o'clock in the morning. But they've also, for the shops, actually free of charge put in another collection at 9:30 in the morning. So in fact, they're really, really well covered. So I would say that what we need is a conversation with this restaurant. If they have a particular problem, and I would be willing with you, Barry, to do it as well, to go along and have a chat with this restaurant about Grundon actually doing a service for them.
Hello?
Hold on. It's just
Hello?
frozen. Okay, it's just frozen.
I will willingly do that.
Lorraine, Councillor Hilliard, would you like to just say something quickly?
Can I just say that business waste isn't actually anything to do with the town council. Obviously, it impacts on the town, but businesses pay the business rates because, although obviously not at this time, because they pay for their waste collection, unlike domestic refuse. So whoever an individual chooses to go with, they can. I don't use Grundon's, I use a company called Suez. You can use who you like, but you can't dictate as a town council what waste service the business is going to use. And really, it's an SODC matter regarding new premises that might not be suitable for restaurants, for instance, because District Council gives the planning permissions, which are lax now, so it's easier to open coffee shops and it's easier to open
Yeah.
restaurants. But there's no real investigation into where the waste is going to go.
Yes.
So I think maybe it should be directed to the District Council to look into where they expect people to be able to put waste, because obviously we want to see their businesses flourish. At the same time, the interest for the town council is we want to keep our streets clean and to have it stored responsibly. But as each business pays for its own waste contract, we can't dictate in that way what they do with it. Okay.
If we're not careful, we're going to get into a massive debate on this one. I take Councillor Hinton and Councillor Plant, as long as you're going to stick to the subject.
Absolutely.
Councillor Hinton.
I think Mr. Wood has a point, actually, when it comes to hospitality. I think as a town council, we're quite retailer focused. We could certainly become more hospitality focused as well. And actually, we have the Henley Business Partnership. So it's hospitality is that one area that I feel, I agree with you, does slip through a little bit. However, that being said, there is a wonderful social media presence website called Experience Henley that's been doing really wonderful things with all of the new people that come into the town and making them feel welcome across various social media platforms. The lady that runs that also happens to run the food festival, which might be good for a Persian restaurant to take part in. So just to encourage you really to get in touch with Experience Henley.
Right.
Laura, Councillor Plant, are you going to talk about the waste?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, purely on the waste, might be worth contacting one of the pubs close to you. They have quite a lot of storage behind their premises, as do two of the other locations that have rear access to where you are located. You might be able to strike a deal with one of those owners.
We have, and they are not interested.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Councillor Gavsha, had you finished?
Sorry, I suddenly lost my connection, so I don't know where I went off. The only thing I was going to say, just to reiterate, that in fact we'll try very hard with the businesses, and if I can with Barry go and have a chat with the Persian restaurant, you know, with my district councillor hat on and town councillor hat, and try and come to some solution, it would be good. Yes.
Can
And
you?
the answer to Mr.
Okay, no,
Mayor,
yeah, I don't want to get Barry. I don't want to get into a debate.
it is not a debate. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with Biffa at 11 o'clock. Councillor Gavashak is very welcome to attend at the Persian restaurant.
Okay, can you make that, Stefan?
Unfortunately, Barry, I can't. I shall be the other side of Reading.
Okay, I'll feed back to you.
If you
Thank
could,
you.
please. Okay,
We'll
Barry.
keep in touch, Barry.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks very much, Barry. Thanks for that. Okay, thank you for the public. Nobody else, Town Clerk?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, right. Let's move on to item 4, which is to move the minutes of the, can I take these two full councils together? One on the 28th of July 2020 and the other on the 8th of September 2020. I've got a proposal from Councillor Plant, seconded by Councillor Gavashak. Was that seconded by you, Councillor Hamilton, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All in favour of those two? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Item 5, to accept the reports of the committees. The first one is the Planning Committee of the 4th of August 2020. If I can call on Councillor Thomas. Councillor Thomas, we can't hear you.
Sorry. I'd like to present the minutes of the Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 4th of August. Item 66, apologies for absence. 67, declarations of interest. 68, minutes. 69, public participation. 70, plans amended. 71, plans new. And on page 15, 72, objections and call-in applications. 73, decision notices. 74, certificate of lawful development. 75, Town and Country Planning Act. appeal against refusal. 76, withdrawn applications. 77, SODC procedure change for call-in applications. Sorry,
I'm just going to
sorry,
stop you there.
yeah.
Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, and I note, Mr. Mayor, that a letter was written to the Chief Executive of SODC as of the 4th of August. Can I ask the Town Clerk whether we've had a reply?
That was going to be my question as well, to the chairman, actually.
No, I'm afraid not.
The minute says it says that to write a letter to the leader and the Chief Executive.
Yeah, the letter was written and it went to several addressees and no reply has been received.
Have you received a reply, Town Clerk?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay, all right. I'll follow that one up.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't remember where I got to. Was it with 76?
78.
77. Okay. 78, consultation, proposed disabled persons parking bays. 79, application for an order to modify the definitive map and statement of the public rights of way. 80, cycle racks. 81, slipway Friday Street. 82, progress report for called-in applications. I do so move.
All in favour of that? Okay, thank you. The next one is the planning of the 18th of August, which I chaired, so I'll move those minutes of the 18th of August 2020. 83, apologies for absence. 84, declarations of interest. 85, minutes. 86, public participation. 87, plans amended. Go on to page, which is page 18. Plans new, 88, minute 88 on page 18 and 19. Minute 89, objections and call-in applications. 90, decision notices. 91, notification of new addresses. Move on to the next page. 92, Slipway Friday Street, which is agenda item 12 on the agenda this evening. 93, progress report for applications called in. 94, progress report. 95, exclusion of press and public. 96, Slipway Friday Street, and I so move. All in favour? Thank you, carried. I now call on Councillor Thomas to read the minutes of the meeting on the 1st of September. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. I'd like to strange noises. Okay, I'll start again. I'd like to present the minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 1st of September. Item 97, apologies for absence. 98, declarations of interest. 99, minutes. 100, public participation. 101, plans new. There were no amended plans that evening. And then moving on, please, to page 25, 102, objections, call-in applications, 103, decision notices, 104, withdrawn applications, 105, neighbourhood planning.
I'll just stop you there,
Yeah.
please. Yeah, on the neighbourhood planning, myself and Kath Adams met with Harpston Parish councillors a couple of weeks ago to discuss the payment for the neighbourhood plan. As you're all aware, Henley Town Council paid all the money on the original one. Had a very good meeting with them, and we put some figures towards the parish council. And they've come back with us with an email from Councillor Kester George, the chairman of the council, and they've offered up to £34,000 to pay towards the review of the neighbourhood plan. I think we've got a fair result there. It's obviously going to help our budget, that's for sure. But I'd like to thank obviously Kath, who put all the figures forward for us, and obviously the councillors, the 5 councillors from parish, from Harpsden Parish Council. It was an excellent meeting, and I think they will get value for money on what they've offered us. So I think that's a good result for both Harpsden and Henley Town Council. Thank you. Okay, carry on. Council, sorry, Town Clerk.
Could I just clarify? You said £34,000. Am I correct in believing that they have also agreed to give costs towards the community bus service as well?
I was going to mention that later.
Apologies.
There's a little cherry on the top. Okay, thank you. We move on.
Thank you. 106 Transport Strategy Group, 107 Slipway Friday Street, 108 Progress Report for applications called in. I do so move.
Okay, all in favour? Thank you. I now call on Councillor Thomas again for the Planning Committee minutes on the 16th of September.
Thank you. I'd like to present the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the Planning Committee held on Wednesday, the 16th of September. 109 apologies for absence, 110 declarations of interest, 111 public participation, 112 government planning guidance, changes to the current planning system and white paper planning for the future. I do so move.
Okay, all those in favour? That's carried. And finally, Councillor Thomas, the planning meeting of the 22nd of September.
Thank you. I'd like to present the minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 22nd of September. 113 apologies for absence, 114 declarations of interest, 115 minutes, 116 public participation, 117 plans amended. Next page, 118 plans new. And then moving on to page 36, 119 objections, call-in applications, 120 decision notices, 121 withdrawn applications, 122 climate emergency 2030 working group, 123 Slipway Friday Street, 124 progress report for applications called in, 125 progress reports. I do so move.
Thank you. All in favour of those? Thank you. Right, we'll move on to the town and community from the 1st of September. I'll call on Councillor Sarah Miller, please, to present those minutes.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. These are the minutes of the meeting of the Town and Community Committee held on Tuesday, the 1st of September. Number 16, apologies for absence. 17, declaration of interest. 18, public participation. 19, minutes. 20, budget. 21, bus working group.
Can I just stop you there? Can I stop you there, please? Yeah, at the same meeting we had with the parish council, they've agreed to give 50% of the shortfall for the first year on the new bus service, with a maximum up to £13,000, give 50%, and they're prepared to discuss the following years also, which I think was most encouraging as well. So it's a thanks to Harpsden Parish Council on that one. Do you wish to speak to this, Councillor Gavashak, about the starting date?
Yes, I will, actually. It's an opportune time. I was going to do during my council's report because there's an article there. But anyway, you're absolutely right. Just to update the whole of the council on information, that, as you know, TK Travel we appointed. They have taken possession of a brand new Mellor Strata 22-seater bus. It's at their depot at Burfield, the other side of Reading. It's having the ticket machine fitted, and I'm actually going over to see it tomorrow to actually talk through the final details. But the bus service will start next Tuesday. It will be a service Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. And a week on this Saturday, we will be having a socially distanced soft launch, if you'd like to call that, in the marketplace on Saturday morning. Around about 10 o'clock, I will, of course, tell all councillors the time and further details. But this is great news for Henley. It is worth mentioning COVID. They have invested in they already had it, but they've invested in a fogging machine, which actually sanitizes the whole of the bus. The bus drivers have been COVID trained. There will, even though it's a 22-seater, there will only be 12 people on the bus at a time. So residents and people in the community of Henley will have to bear that in mind. Masks will be compulsory on all public transport. It is anyway. So all of these details will come out over the next few days. But the great news is the bus is starting on Tuesday, and it will then run from then on. And we look forward to a very, very successful service, serving the members of our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I think we owe a big thank you, obviously, to Councillor Gavashak and to Kath Adams for the amount of work they put into it. Yeah, we did have I'll come to you afterwards, Lawrence. We did have a working group, but to be fair, we were just sitting back watching what was happening take place. So thanks for the pair of you.
Mr. Mayor, one other thing. I thanked a lot of people the last time, including Lorraine, the Deputy Mayor. But yes, Kath has done an awful lot of work on this. But the one person I forgot was Councillor Rob Romans, who is on the screen today. He actually was instrumental in introducing us to this family-run business, which I'd never ever heard of. So we have to thank Councillor Romans for the introduction. And obviously, Kath and I have taken it from there and the bus working group. But they really are a very, very responsible, family-run, friendly bus company. And we look forward to many happy weeks of service. Thank you.
40 years, actually. Councillor Plant.
I was just going to say, if it's possible from the launch on Tuesday to share any photos or images on the councillors' accounts, then any of the councillors who are slightly more social media savvy, if we can share them and post them and just try and give the bus launch as much support as possible, that would be fantastic. If all 16 of us can get a post out on our own social media, etc., that would be wonderful. So if whoever is going to be there doesn't mind taking a picture of said shiny bus, because I most likely won't be there, but that would be lovely.
I'll be there, Lawrence, and yes, I will. Thank you for that comment.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you. Is there any timetables being put out, Stefan, for the people to get on and off?
Yes, there are. What we've decided to do, yes, all the timetables have been designed, and a timetable will be distributed to the whole of Henley in about a week's time. Actually, we're actually doing it sort of, well, semi-gradually. What we want is this new company to learn the route, to embed all the processes, and then in a week's time we will do a proper launch, if you like, including delivering 5,000 timetables to every house in Henley. And yes, and thanks, Lawrence, we will get it out on social media as well. Thank you. By the way, there's an extension to the route which is up to Highlands Park as well. So we have included that into the loop.
Hence the money from Harpston. Thank you.
Okay, are we good to go?
Yep. Oh, sorry, what you? Yeah, carry on.
It's like the Academy Awards, isn't it? All these thank yous this evening. I feel I should be crying, but no, thank you.
Oh, go on, cry, please.
I won't cry. No, I've got makeup on this evening. But no,
Okay.
big thank you to Councillor Romans and Gavashak, because that is really good for the town. So that's really great. Okay, going back to the agenda, item 22 was the town and community manager update. Item 23, progress report. Item 24, exclusion of the public and press. 25, public meeting. I so move.
Okay, all in favour of that? That's carried, thank you. We now move on to the recreation and amenities meeting of the 8th of September. And I call on Councillor Hinton, please.
Thank you,
Hold
Mr.
on, we
Mayor.
got just Councillor Hamilton, yes? You had your hand up, Councillor Hamilton. No,
I think
okay.
I thought he was doing a
Councillor-
salute.
Okay, Councillor Hinton.
Right. These are the minutes of the Recreation and Amenities Committee held on the 8th of September 2020. Agenda item, minute 29, apologies for absence. 30, declaration of interest. 31, public participation. 32, minutes. 33, progress. 34, budget. 35, dog waste bins. 36, Mill Lane car park. 37, use of Mill Meadows. 38, mooring policy. 39, cemetery benches. Councillor Hamilton.
Can I just stop you there? Yeah, Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I don't want to make a big issue of this.
Well, if you're
I
not
think-
going to make a big issue, can you just make it short and sweet, please?
As Councillor Gavashak would say, I will talk briefly.
Okay, that's fine.
I was told at the start of this meeting I wasn't able to speak to this item, which is against standing order number 10.
Sorry, who told you? Who told you that?
Councillor Hinton did at the start of the meeting.
There was nothing to debate. There was no decision to be
Okay.
made, and there was
Okay.
nothing to debate.
Okay, carry on, then, Councillor Hamilton.
And any councillor can speak to any item.
Councillor
That is
Hamilton,
something
if
within
Councillor
standing orders.
Hamilton,
I will
Councillor
leave it as
Hamilton,
that.
just control yourself a minute. If you want to speak to the item, I'll allow you to speak to the item, but you're not speaking to the item. Now, do you wish to speak to that item, yes or no?
No, I will move on.
Okay, thank you.
We can be
Councillor Hinton.
understanding. He doesn't have much experience.
Councillor
in it.
Hinton, Councillor Hinton, sorry.
Okay, moving on. A minute 40, exclusion of the press and public. And 41, mooring enforcement. I so move.
Okay, thank you. All in favour of those? Okay, thank you. The final one is the finance and strategy management on the 15th of September. I call on Councillor Reisman.
I'd like to present the minutes of the Finance Strategy and Management Committee meeting held on the 15th of September. Item 37, apologies. Item 38, declarations of interest. Item 39, public participation. Item 40, minutes. Item 41, finance. Item 42, expenditure. And as you'll see, there was £4,000 was voted on for the bus service, on the marketing of the bus service, which I think is an important way of making sure that we get as much benefit as we can from that excellent new service. Item 43, 2021-2022 budget. Item 44, grants. Item 45, exclusion.
I was going to stop you there, please. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, as item 43, it was just a quick question. Has the value for money meeting happened, and are there any minutes from it? Because I haven't seen anything come through in terms of any savings or possible revenue generation items for the 21-22 budget.
Well, if you haven't seen the minutes, you wouldn't have seen that, would you? Town Clerk, would you like to answer that question? Because I thought everybody was aware of the meeting.
The minutes, I would need to check with the accountant about that. The meeting was simply to consider the macroeconomic considerations rather than any of the detail, which will of course be coming back to the various committees.
Did Councillor Hamilton, was he aware of the meeting, Town Clerk? That was my question.
it will have been circulated as with other meetings. Yes.
I was aware of the meeting. I just wonder whether there were any minutes from that meeting.
I thought you said you weren't aware of the meeting, first of all. We'll find out the minutes for you though, Councillor Hamilton. Okay. Councillor Riceman, can you continue, please?
Item number 45, I think I got to exclusion of public and press. Item 46, legal update. Item 47, 353, 357 Reading Road. I so move.
Okay, all in favour of those? Okay, that's carried, thank you. Move on to item 6, reports of other authorities. Mine is the first report. And I've said quite a lot about Anderson House. Very disappointed to read. I never know if they're tweets, or I never know if they're Facebook or what they are. But the council wrote, sadly, this is what happens when you have Greens, Liberals and local HRG representing the town at SODC. We all know obviously who wrote that. And actually what happened there, Councillor Hamilton, was that the chairman of the committee, who is a Conservative, and the leader of the Conservatives voted in favour of Anderson House being turned into flats. If those two councillors would have voted the other way, that application would have been turned down. And to accuse HRG of being part of that is totally incorrect. And I think we're due an apology. Now, you may wish to do that on Twitter, Facebook, I don't mind, but that is totally an incorrect statement, what you've written. I just hope that they discontinue over the next few months. My report's in front of you. I don't know if there's any, did anybody question it, Town Clerk? Were there any questions on my report?
I haven't received any.
I didn't receive any questions, Councillor Thomas.
I did actually email one in, and I put Sheridan on the addressee list.
Oh, was that about the future?
Yes. Am I able to ask the question?
Yeah, go on. You did send an email. That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering, because you don't mention it in your report, I was wondering if there was any update from our planning authority, SODC, on how we can get access to the comments that they have submitted on the changes to the current planning system.
I'm still waiting for that one as well, Councillor Thomas. And once I receive it, I will pass it on to you. I don't know what's happened there. Unless Councillor Hillier or Councillor Gavashak or Councillor Hinton know any different. I was never, and I tried to find out what they were doing, SODC, and all I was told was that the planning department were answering the changes to the current planning system. I haven't seen what they've sent away. I don't know. The other one, the planning for the future one, there's a meeting, I think it's around about the 16th of October to discuss that one, which obviously I should go to that one. But the original one there, the changes to the current planning system, unless Councillor Gavashak, Hillier or Hinton know any different, I can only keep chasing it up. Does anybody else have any information? Councillor Hillier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I haven't got any information. I was just thanking you for the thank you, because the good thing is I sit on planning at SODC, and so I'm allowed to debate and vote on Henley applications, whereas sadly the ward members can't debate and vote on their own areas, which I do think is a pity. And but just to note, my ward is Woodcut and Rotherfield, okay, not just Woodcut. And 8 parishes in between.
Your choice. Actually, it wasn't your choice, but your choice.
It wasn't my choice, I was pushed.
Right.
So, Councillor Arlett, you'll just update the next the next meeting.
Yeah, as soon as I receive anything, I obviously will let you know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, because the electorate needs to know what they've said.
Absolutely. Because we sent ours away, didn't we?
Yeah, ours went away on time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, there we go. Right, the next one on page 46 is Councillor Hinton. Councillor Hinton.
I write these at the end of a 6-week cycle, and I forget what happened the first 2 weeks. So I always forget to put something in. And this time I wanted to say that I'd met with, actually it's Councillor Hillier's co-district councillor on the Woodcote and Rotherfield ward, Councillor Jo Robb, who has become our Thames champion. I met with her also down at Mill Meadows, and we both took part in the water blitz experiment testing the water, although we took part individually. So that was the only thing that I wanted to add to the report, really.
Okay, thank you. Then move on to Councillor Gavashak. Have you got anything to say on your district report, Councillor Gavashak?
Yeah, just one comment. Could I draw people's attention to page 48? I'm sure you've all read my report. The particulate monitor, which is at the bottom of Grays Road, which is the first one in South Oxfordshire, is now actually fully functioning, and this is my first report on it. If you go to the electronic version, you can actually click on the hyperlink to actually take you to live data, and also data for the last month as well, and then it will be the last 2 months, 3 months, etc., etc. Can I draw your attention to one of the graphs, which is the one marked, well, I'll just explain the 3 graphs: PM 2.5, PM 10, NO2. We've all been familiar with NO2, which is nitrogen dioxide. That's a pollutant that comes out of exhausts of cars. And I've been reporting on that for many, well, for years. PM 2.5 is the very smallest carbon particles, and PM 10 are the bigger carbon particles. PM 2.5 is particularly insidious because it's the tiny particles that can actually, you breathe in, or children breathe in, and it actually can go into the bloodstream and cause long-term health effects. Now, at the moment, the limit is round about 20 for the legal limit, and you will see our figures at the moment, and this is only a month. Our figures are around about the 10 mark. But I will be giving you a fuller report next time. The World Health Organization has just brought out a report that actually says that the safe limit for PM 2.5 should be 10 and below. So we are in the zone. So therefore, I think that needs a little bit more explanation, and I will do that in my next report. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. Councillor Plant. Councillor Plant.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to comment that assuming that's for the during COVID period, we're already at or near the level at which would be bad that well, not hopefully, but it'll only go to measure that the minute we're back up to traffic levels, one would assume we can take greater action against it, as the numbers will no doubt exceed, well, certainly exceed 10, saying as we look close to that already, and certainly be closer to an average of 20. So yep. Good work, and it's doing its job, as it were.
Yes, you're absolutely right, but one 6-week report doesn't make a summer. We've got to build up the data over 6 months, etc., to see what's really happening. Okay. David Dickey has said that actually winter is the worst period because the air hangs in Henley. So anyway, we'll see going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Can we then move on to the County Council report?
I have only one thing to add, and can I draw councillors' attention to page 50, which is the first bit of the report to do with COVID. As you can see, South Oxfordshire at 7.7 is pretty low. But I would like to draw your attention to this second one down, which is Oxford City. You've got Cherwell, Oxford City, and I have reported it mainly because I get county reports every week I have reported Oxford City at 21.6. That was the data before we found out that there was a complete cock-up with the COVID reporting. Oxford City is now at about 50. So they're in the red zone. So the only thing I would say is this: we in Henley are pretty safe, but we have Oxford City at pretty poor rates at the moment. And basically, we've got to get the message out to Henley residents that the only reason we are safe in Henley is because of the actions of Henley residents. So therefore, can we all as councillors, and I'm sure you will agree with me, can we all as councillors sort of talk to people about wearing masks, talk to people about social distancing, because if we can keep the levels for Henley at 7.7, which I would hope we would, then our economy and our businesses, our retailers and our shops will continue to be open and continue to thrive. But if we don't, then the numbers will rise, and of course we will have problems going forward. So that's the only update I want to give on my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You didn't put forward a question, Councillor Plant, but I'll let you ask one.
Not a question, but maybe if we could get Michaela and the team at the Henley Standard to write an affectionately worded statement from us as town councillors expressing that could be really useful, with the whole sort of, Henley residents pulling together to kind of keep Henley safe type vibe would be potentially lovely if the rest of the councillors think it would be appropriate.
Lawrence, I will draft one with you and we'll circulate it to the councillors, because I think this is a really, sorry, I did actually say I don't want to get preachy, but I am getting a bit preachy at the moment.
Well, not too much, please.
Really important message to get over. That if we want the coffee shops, the pubs, the retailers, the shops to remain open, we have got to, the actions are in our own hands. And that's masks, social distancing, taking care, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I will draft a press release or something like that. I'll pass it by Lawrence and then we can get it out to the
okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hillier.
Oh, thank you. Am I allowed to just say from the trade point of view?
I think you are.
Oh, thank you. Because people have been brilliant who come in. They've all complied, all wearing face masks until they sit down to obviously eat and drink. They're also using that scan that got from the NHS, which goes direct to show for touch and trace. So they're all complying with that. If they haven't got the app on the phone, they're writing in a book. So I just think Henley residents are behaving brilliantly.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, thank you. Right, we're going to move on to item 7, reports of outside bodies. Does anybody like to make a report? Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. I have an update from the Henley Educational Trust. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can. Yeah, fine.
So the Henley Educational Trust recently announced the retirement of Chair Colin Homent, who served with the Trust for 20 years, and Finance Trustee Bill Parish, who served as Treasurer for 14 years. Speaking on behalf of the HET trustees, Amanda Heath, who has taken over the position of Colin Homent, who is chair, says both Bill and Colin worked tirelessly to manage the trust and consolidate its financial position. Together, they have ensured that future generations of Henley's young people will benefit from educational opportunities both in and out of school, and made sure that all have access to an enriching and broad education, irrespective of financial means. Both Colin and Bill will be missed by fellow trustees, but they leave the Henley Educational Trust in the strongest position it has ever been for the new trustee body to take forward and to be able to cope with the particular challenges of 2020 COVID-19. So just as a quick reminder to you all, the Henley Educational Trust was originally set up in 1604 by Lady Perryian. And just in the last financial year, 2019-2020, the Trust awarded grants totaling £130,740 to across Henley, and that's on individual grants and to organisational grants as well. This is the highest distribution ever on record. So congratulations to those retirees. They have actually issued a press release, so I'm sure that you'll be hearing more about these trustees in the not too distant future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Hamilton, which one do you wish to speak to?
Can I just, can I ask you, Mr. Mayor, on behalf of all the councillors that have served on the Henley Educational Trust, and many of us have on rotation, write a letter to Colin and Bill. It has been absolutely outstanding, the work they have done for many, many years. And I think as a council, we should thank them and minute that as well, for the gratitude that they've done and all the children they've helped.
I'll do that. Give me a few days.
Can I just add? Unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity to meet either Bill or Colin in person because of COVID, but I just think that's an incredible amount of service they've put in.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else wish to speak on any outside bodies? No, I don't see anybody. Item 8, Mayor's Civic Engagements, which is on page 57. I'll just bring you to the notice of one of them. On Friday, the 18th of September, the talk by Michael Redley. It was an amazing talk about a councillor called Charles Clements, and I won't go all through the history of them or of him, but he did some amazing work. He was a local builder. He built Prior Park, to name but one. He built Norman Avenue, all the houses up there, and a lot of individual houses around the town. He died about 100 years ago and was buried in the cemetery, the Fairmile Cemetery. By all accounts, his headstone's knocked down, laying on the ground or wherever. I intend to go and have a look where it is, and out of my money, which is obviously town council money, I'm going to pay to restore that headstone. This fella did so much for the town, 120, 130 years ago. Absolutely amazing. And I think Michael Redley may well write a short book about him, but if it probably wasn't for people like Charles Clements, who was an alderman as well, we probably wouldn't be as affluent as we are today. And I say it was an amazing story. It's a pity a few more others couldn't see. It was on a Friday night, which is probably not the best for everybody. But I intend to do that in the future. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Plant.
Is there a recording of it or a link to it on YouTube, or was it just a one-off?
I'll find out for you. I know I've never asked the question and it was never noted. I'll find out, and if it was, I'll get back to all councillors on it. But it was about a 2-hour listen, but it was well worth it. Sorry, Councillor Miller.
Very quickly, apologies, but I do need to leave the meeting, which I think you're all aware of. So
okay.
I will say goodbye now.
Okay, thank you very much for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, item 9, archive digitisation. I'll move this on to the town clerk.
Thank you very much. You will have seen, apologies, I have some background noise, but hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. You will have seen the report that I've circulated. Hopefully that will have all the details that you need for it. To very briefly summarise, we have a very large paper archive in the town hall, and we have limited accommodation in the town hall. Which we need to free up for staff, as we have very little office accommodation. Added to that, the paper archive is very difficult to search through. And as we have seen with some of the issues that we're looking into at the moment, things like the Friday Street Slipway, actually being able to look through our archive quickly and easily to find historical information is really key. We often rely on some long-standing members of staff and councillors, and often our organisational knowledge is only as old as the longest-serving councillor or member of staff. So it's important that we try to be able to quickly access our archive, access that historical information, so that we don't lose a lot of the important work that's gone on before, and that we can learn from what has happened before, and use that for our future projects. I think that's about it, but I'm happy to take questions on it.
Councillor Hamilton first.
One question. I know the fire, what would happen if there was a fire and that kind of thing. Just wondered, I haven't got a problem with sending it out, but have you considered using the flat upstairs in the roof of the town hall as a possible archive space?
It is currently being used as an archive space for the finance files. It is quite a long journey up there, and
that'll be nearer than sending them out.
Pardon?
That would be nearer than sending them out.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
This would be nearer than sending them out. I just wondered whether that space could be used.
So we're not sending the archive off site at all. We're simply digitizing it so that we have it to hand. So it would go off site to be digitized, but then we would have the digital archive there and easily accessible, which, especially seeing as most people are working remotely at the moment, it is very laborious to try and find out a lot of historical legal information when one has to wait to go back.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak on this?
Yes, please.
Sorry, Councillor Hinton.
I just wondered, after looking at 3.10, if there was something that, was really significant, or whether it was, because we're choosing to support a local company. And I'm all for going for the local company, but that is quite a jump from 5.2 per page to 15p per page. And that's triple. So whilst I like to use someone local, I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable doing it at triple the cost of what it would have been nationally with a national company, especially when I then read 3.10. I do completely agree with using local companies. As I say, I see the point. In the Christmas and the events committee was spending a small fortune on advertising locally when we could get quite a lot more using online stuff, because that's what we do. We support local. But I just wondered if there was anything else, like if there was a really significant reason they were chosen other than just them being local, because I'd be minded, considering the deficit, to go with the cheapest option unless there was a specific reason.
May I?
Could you come back, Town Clerk?
So there were three main reasons why they were chosen. The first is, yes, they are a Henley-based company with a very good reputation. The second is the first company would into basically one. Each box would be one big PDF. Which would sit there and you can easily search through. However, if you need to extract information, or if you need to, books contain many files of many documents, and you will have that basically with one PDF, which is fine for searching through. It does make it a larger file to hold, and it also can't then, with our digital filing system, it's harder to then put part of the document in one place and part of the document in another place to make it easy to search for. or to extract information if you wanted to email it out to somebody else. The other reason they were chosen is that they take a very personal approach to it. And as they are going through the files, they will also be ensuring any documents which are of potentially high value, of particular historical interest, or anything that we should be paying particular attention to, they will be highlighting and ensuring that we're made aware of those. So there was that reason as well. And so in a way, B and C haven't quite quoted enough, like, or contractor A hasn't quite quoted enough. Contractor A is cheaper. They are significantly cheaper, but you would kind of get what you pay for with that. I'm happy that with contractor B, based on their quote and compared with contractor C, they would be delivering best value for that.
Okay, thank you, Town Clerk. Councillor Riceman, and then Councillor Plant. Was Councillor Hillier? Okay, Councillor Riceman, Councillor Plant, then Councillor Hillier.
I did forward some questions on this to the Town Clerk yesterday, and he provided a number of answers. One thing I didn't ask was in section 3.5, the report says that the project could then be expanded to cover the council's whole physical archive. What proportion of the physical archive is being archived as part of this project? And presumably we plan to do it all in a reasonably short period of time, or is there a reason we're splitting it up?
This is really a kind of a test to kind of like see how it goes. They've already done one box to as a kind of like a test to see how easy it is to do and the kind of quality that we back. By doing this third represents basically all of the paper archive that we have in the main office accommodation downstairs, and is really free up the space downstairs. As we move forward, looking at how we can better use the town hall with more spaces for staff to meet or councillors to meet or whatever, and as we move through those spaces and look to tidying up those spaces and make better use of those spaces, then that's when we'd really be looking at digitizing those bits of the archive. As far as the proportion goes, we are talking roughly a third. We're talking about 14 large boxes worth, and I think it was 22 lever arches, I think. So it is a very significant portion. And this part of the archive is the part of the archive that we're most likely to need on a day-to-day basis for operational purposes. So, for example, if we're doing a project on the putting green at Mill Meadows, all the history of the putting green over, say, the past 20 years will be in this archive that we're looking at digitizing. So from an operational point of view, this is the part of the archive to digitize.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Plant.
I was just going to say, following up from Kelly and the points raised, that looking at the recommendation and the fact that each individual will be its own file, and the greater efficiency this is going to create going forward. Like, God, I would hate to be one of the ones asked to go and rummage through 14 boxes to find something of current use. A keyword search just to draw up all files of relevance is going to be such an incredible help going forward. And it is, yes, quite an expensive outlay now, especially if this is only a third of the total archive. But the man hours that this is going to save going forward, and just to increase our efficiency and maybe finding a piece of paper that we might need of key relevance going forward, then I'd happily propose that we do go with option B and we get the process rolling and increase the efficiency of our staff.
I'll second that. Councillor Hillier, then Councillor Lambert.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine was a comment over the really historic papers. And I note in 3.8, a copy will be kept of contracts for legal reasons and those of historic value. But is it possible with the really old paperwork to have some input from the Henley Historical Society, etc., because, or the River and Roy Museum, there may well be something of use for them in there that we might not consider worth keeping, but it might have great value to them, or they would better recognise that value. Could they have any input?
May I respond to that?
Yeah. Sorry, Tom.
Thank you very much. The contractor that I'm suggesting has recently undertaken quite a lot of archiving work at Phyllis Court. And as part of that process, uncovered quite a lot of really good historical documents and other things that did help highlight it to Phyllis Court to help them really kind of show off their history and publicise their history. So that's a very good point, and something that I think the council should certainly be recognising the history and showing off and making it available. And certainly when we uncover these things, then passing them to the River Rome Museum to add to the collection that we already have there, or getting the Archaeological and Historical Society involved also sounds like a good idea.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert, and then I'm going to go back to the proposer.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to, one other point I wanted to make earlier actually is if the councillors who aren't speaking could go on mute, because while the town clerk was speaking, a lot of what he said went missing because of crackles from other people interrupting it. On this issue though, I just wanted to ask, do we have suitable processes, skills and equipment in place in-house that we can digitize incoming documents from now and extend this archive internally without use of external contractors?
So moving forwards, I'm very keen, I'm sure Kath would agree, I've been very keen with people to reduce the amount of paperwork that they produce and to only print things where absolutely necessary, and that everything is stored digitally, especially at the moment with everybody working at home. Having good digital files has been absolutely crucial. So staff are aware of that, and moving forward, I think we will be getting a lot less paperwork, and therefore we won't be creating more of a paper archive that we then need to digitize. I'm satisfied that everything that people do have tends to be in our digital filing system now, and if people do have paper files, it tends to be as a backup for just working from. But everything that we need, we have in a digital format moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Right, Councillor Plant, I've got you down as proposing recommendation 4.1. Okay, if you'd like to sum up.
I think it's already been said. I think the fact that each individual document will come in its own file is a massive bonus over quote A. Whether it's worth the entire proportion of that cost, I don't know. But it seems like the best thing going forward for efficiency for all our town staff and to indeed improve our own research over future issues. So let's go with option B and start the process.
Okay, so the proposal is for item 4.1. All those in favour? Okay, any against? Okay, that's carried, thank you. Right, we now move on to item 10. This is where we have to say goodbye to the public. Thank you for attending this evening. We're now going to go into a confidential session, and I will just read the following out. To exclude the public and the press from the remainder of the meeting in accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, as matters which will be discussed are considered to be confidential. I so move. Can I have a seconder? Many. Councillor Hinton, all those in favour? Okay, thank you.